you can live a life in flow where your deepest heart's desires become reality. At Set to Love, we offer strategies and ideas on how you can stay out of crazy town. See, your human experience is meant to be lived with meaning, purpose, and creativity. You are here to contribute through your essence. We are best friends, moms, entrepreneurs, and above all, find our flow in assisting you to find yours. We come together weekday mornings to bring you ideas to fall deeper in love with your life and the journey that you are on. Take what works and ditch the rest, and always stay set to love. Thank you for being a part of this community. We're all designed to live in flow. So let's go. Good morning, Set to Love community. Good morning, best friend Shelley. I'm so excited for our guest this morning, Bonnie Casamassima. I hope I'm saying that right.
Yeah.
It's an M-A at the end. Bonnie is a design for well-being consultant, and she studies and helps people with the psychology of how our homes and offices can be supportive for our well-being. And she also has a bit of intuitiveness, clairvoyance in her. And so she's able to really look at your space and create something of beauty and flow. And that's why we're having her on today. We want to learn more about her and how we can do this for ourselves in our home. So welcome to the show, Bonnie, and welcome. Good morning, Shelley.
Good morning. Welcome, Bonnie. So excited to hear from you.
Thank you. So excited to be on the show. And hello, everybody who's listening. Hope everyone's doing well. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what, I mean, I gave a brief little introduction, but tell us what that looks like. What does that mean? What do you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I have a organization that I started about 4 years ago, Inner Weave People Place. And really what I wanted to do here is I've worked in the interior design area for the past decade, primarily working within environmental psychology. Really, what is it about our spaces and how they impact people and their day-to-day lives? And spent the last decade working with large corporations and working as an adjunct professor as well. And there was a fire in my belly that said, this conversation can really help people one-on-one in their homes primarily, and especially now more than ever, that's where we're spending all of our time. So I really wanted to take all that experience, and I've studied within environmental psychology and interior design for undergraduate as well as my graduate degree, and take all of that to make it really accessible and approachable. So how can we take that scientific language for how we're really listening to what we need for our well-being and use accessible language to bring it into our homes? So that's an overview of where I've been and how I got here. And it's an honor to get to work with people in their homes. And primarily it's been a lot of home offices these days because that's what everybody's shifting to. But really, how can we take that vast body of research and science and distill it down to clear, easy action items, and often using your own items in your home too, to see how you can use space as a tool to support that intentional life, just like healthy eating or an active lifestyle can be.
I love that you just explained that the way you did, but what's coming up for me is, what is the intuitive part of what you do? So you've been trained to do all of these things, but you're actually, which is part of flow, is trusting your gut. And so I'm wondering, what is the intuitive part?
Yeah, great question. This actually came, and I have a very research and analytical mind, right? So it was this, I think I fought myself for a long time here, and started maybe about 3 years ago, meditating regularly just to help reduce some of my stress and get more in flow with life. And kind of out of nowhere, that's what we say, out of nowhere, right? I started getting visuals to responses to the questions I was asking during meditations. So as an experiment, I said, well, let me start listening to what these visuals are and taking action from there and just see what happens. So living in that flow. And the visuals became clearer and life became much calmer and more grounded. So the more I listened, I found the clearer they came. And for me, it comes through really in my mind's eye. It's almost like a TV screen, if you will, or a movie screen, where I'll get visual downloads. And it'll also come through what's called clairsentience. So it comes through body sensations. Listening to that led me to sign up for a 5-month mentorship where I was studying with a group of 10 other incredible women. We just happened to be women, where it was really designed to tune in and listen. And what does that mean for you? So, long story short, I got one of those intuitive pings that I knew to start listening to, and it said, try to do this, but connect to a good friend of yours and see if you can be a channel for her. So I listened and we scheduled a Zoom call and I connected, went through a grounding ritual without getting too much into the details, and was able to help to share messages that came through from her intuition team or spirit team. A lot of people call it different things, but was able to share information that came through for her. And it was incredibly energizing. So that led to sharing it for more people. So it's kind of a long story of that response. And had you asked me 5 years ago, would I be sharing this or knowing that this is, because I come from a really research and scientific background, I was like, well, that sounds really amazing, but I don't see that happening, right? But here we are, and it feels incredible. So it's been such an honor, really, over the past few months, integrating these intuitive gifts for how I can support people, and combining that research and scientific background with these intuitive gifts to ultimately support people in living their highest quality of life.
Wow. So what does that really look like when we talk about creating a space, and you're knowing like your background, and part of flow too that we talk about is nothing's ever wasted. So taking everything that you've learned or the skills and talents that you have and applying them with these new things that are in these new gifts that you're recognizing and cultivating and coming into your life. So if you were to work with us, let's say, or to Shelley or me, or in our home, what does that process look like? What do you do with someone?
Yeah, great question. I would say the most common way that I work with people is it's all virtual, especially now, everything's virtual. And we set up a 45-minute session where we connect. And I think it's really important to say that though my experience and background is in design and the psychology of how our spaces impact us, the goal is all about the person. And we're just using the space as one of those tools in the toolbox to support the goals of that person. So it can look a few different ways. Sometimes people want to come in and they're like, show me all the science. I just want to know how to redesign my home office. And we'll focus on that. A lot of times what I'm finding more and more is people are wanting to come in and they're wanting to connect through those channeling sessions and say, okay, what is my heart really saying I want to be for my career? What does that look like? And help me to really understand what that macro goal is. And then once we have that macro vision from their team, their intuition, and their guides, we then can use the psychology of design to say, okay, it's saying that you're wanting to have an office that feels like this, that evokes these emotions. Because really, at the end of the day, it's about, okay, how are we using the space as a tool to help you tap into that truer self within yourself?
Wow.
Wow. So people get a lot more than what they think out of it, which is really such a beautiful thing, because you're giving them peace of mind. You're helping them to get to know themselves and what they really need. So I think that's incredible. I mean,
what's really powerful is that it's already inside every person, right? It's really just, I like to see myself as a conduit to share this information. Just like a health coach might support them on the healthy eating or active lifestyle that supports their goals. I'm really honored to have, spent the last decade working and researching in this, and now really listening to these intuitive gifts to really help that person dig into what's already inside them and give them that support to continue listening to that.
Bonnie, we have a question. I don't know if you can answer it or not, but
Hi.
Paige is asking, what's the workshop called?
Oh, the workshop?
Yeah, so she's curious. She wants to tap into her own intuition. And
Absolutely. I do also host a series of education sessions on a platform called Learn It Live. And in this year, as well as last year, I've done a number on different platforms looking at how we're giving an overview of the workshop. So one of the workshops or online course, maybe we can translate it as that, is designing a space that supports you using the psychology of design and the science of gratitude. So I'm happy to share a link with the followers if people are interested. It's a self-paced online course.
that would be awesome. That would be so great. Yeah, my sister is moving and she's all about the space and creating and she is really artsy, and it's so cool to see like the palettes that she puts together of the colors and the things, and just really creating a home that feels like their family's energy. And I just redid my son's room. I cleaned out the closet, took all my stuff out because it was his sister's room when she went to college, and then we kind of left it as her room for a little bit, and then slowly it became his room, and it's officially his room. But it's so different walking into a space that feels and embodies his personality. He's into anime, and it's just like those kind of things are on the wall, and his bed's low to the ground, and I got him 2 little lamps, and it's like real basic things. I didn't even spend a whole lot of money, but just how you organize the space. My daughter rearranged the bed and some of the stuff, and it was so simple, but man, it feels so different when you walk in there. It's like, wow, this is Evan's room. So it really is powerful what your space looks like and how you feel in it, especially when we're stuck in our homes for such long periods of time. So having someone like you who can see a space and then intuitively tap into that person's authenticity and who they are, what they want to create. It's what it sounds like that you're able to do really well, which is beautiful and such an amazing gift for the world.
Yeah, it's such an honor to be able to support people with this. Absolutely. And to be able to be that bridge between the intuition and the science. And that's what I love so much about your work with the conversation and the flow for life. It's like, it's really bridging it. It's all connected, right? So we can communicate it through both of those lenses to meet people where they are with it. But you were talking about how powerful it can be when a space really reflects you, like with your son, and it's our spaces have a direct biological, psychological, and sociological impact on how we feel, and we intuitively feel it, right? When we look at 20 houses before we decide which one we want to live in, and there's a reason for that, and it's really listening to what that goal is and how you want to feel, and then you use that as the guidepost to create the space around it.
So I have a skincare room just built in my house for my husband, and part of that space when I put everything together is I wanted it to show that I'm cozy and loving and want people to feel nurtured and cared about. And so it's so funny that it's just, it's kind of trial and error. You pull this out, that doesn't really work. Mm-hmm. And I'm in a space now where I'm just so happy. Every time I walk in there, it's peaceful, and people feel that, versus when we were upstairs and I'm, having a squeeze between, a massage bed, and it just wasn't a permanent place. Such a difference in just, so this really does make a lot of sense about, being open and vulnerable to what's really possible. So I would love.
I have a question though, really quick. So what about, we've got like 2 minutes here. What about people, like I have this problem, but my mom is even 10 times worse, with letting go of things. So like I have things that it's not like Clutterville, but there's definitely stuff that doesn't have a home. I say like, this needs a home. Find a home for it. So what does that mean intuitively, psychologically, when we have a difficult time letting go of things that we've held on to for so long already?
Oh, absolutely. So I think the biggest thing there is know that our objects carry emotional significance to it, and to honor what those emotional needs are. So be kind to yourself through the process. I'll share a really quick example. Yeah. I worked with a woman who had recently lost her life partner due to sickness, and she called me in and she said, I just can't move on. I can't figure out what to do. I need to figure out how to honor our chapter together, but then continue my life. And I walked in her home, and the first thing I saw when I walked in was a beautiful portrait of her former partner. And I realized we worked together. We used all of our existing items. We sat down and said, what life do you want to create? How do you want it to feel? Those feelings are really going to drive everything. I want to feel calm or energized or productive, right? Or grounded or in flow. And we worked together. We made her hallway an art gallery that celebrated those chapters of life together. So it was kind of the third space you saw. And then we prioritized that first space that you saw when you walked in to really reflect what she wanted to move toward in her life. So using all of her existing items, we set that intention. So it could be really powerful. She was looking at selling her house and uprooting her life. And I'm really happy to say that she chose to stay, and she's loving her new chapter with that. And our space can be a really powerful tool with that. So I think to really honor what you need and listen with what are you trying to move toward, and give yourself permission if that item or object isn't in alignment with that new chapter or that new direction, to find it a new home. Maybe it can give joy to someone else.
Wow. Thank you so much. That was beautifully said.
Yes. Bonnie, thank you so, so much for being on our show today. Where can people find you if they want to connect with you, hire you to help with their spaces? Where can people find you and connect on that?
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me on your show. It's been such an honor connecting. The best place would be innerweavepeopleplace.com. That's going to be where you can book a session. I have a lot of resources and articles if you want to read more. The most common option is to work in a 45-minute virtual session with me, and you can find that on that website. So innerweavepeopleplace.com. And you can find my Facebook as well as LinkedIn, as well as Instagram from there as well.
Perfect. And I'll make sure in the show notes down below, if you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're listening on a podcasting streaming platform, you can go to YouTube and you can look up Set to Love Bonnie, and you'll be able to find all of her links down there too. So Bonnie, thank you so much for being on our show today and for sharing this beautiful message. I'd love to have you back on and talk more about this. I feel like there's so many different directions we could have just gone.
Yes.
Even just with that last question, like it was really powerful. So thank you again so much for being here. And thank you to everyone who watched. Rose said thank you. One of our faithful followers, Rose, said thank you. Thank you, Rose, so much. If you want to connect with us, you can do that at settolove.com, or shoot us an email, settolovepodcast@gmail.com. Everyone have a beautiful Tuesday, January 5th, and we will be back tomorrow, Wednesday, 8:30 a.m. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you again, Bonnie. Don't hang up. Bonnie, stay there.